But anyway, let's move on to match number 2 of the day. And it is tom60229 versus Glory. And this is kind of a top-of-the-table match, or at least close to it. Top 4 match at the very minimum. And his Holy Wrath Paladin from Tom is going to be banned out with a Priest Shield. And Glory having that Warrior Shield and his Priest being banned out feels like, again, Glory on more of the, I say standard, but Apex standard with that Zoo list.
Yeah.
Build with his Shield in the Warrior. Tom shielding Priest, never going to complain about that. But then having his Holy Wrath Paladin banned out means that it's just Zoo and Zoo versus like Warrior, but then Priest and Shaman as the different decks.
Yeah, Tom is going with his very much standard strategy here of respecting Priest to the utmost here. And, we saw him being one of the first players to adopt Priest as well. It seems to make sense.
Signed Tanduin's paperwork a few weeks earlier than most.
Yeah. And it's an interesting spot that Tom is in because, again, I was criticizing him of sticking with his lineup too much. But if he arrived on the correct lineup so much earlier than everyone else, should I be criticizing him for not switching at all?
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Like I said, it's hard to criticize people who are doing relatively well, even with deck lists that are questionable, which I think Tom's Priest is. Tom is playing 2 Silence, 1 Sidekick, 1 Regenerate, and one of those cuts for Regenerate or Silence, pick your poison, is instead of a Bwonsamdi, which for me, I now cannot imagine playing Priest without Bwonsamdi. I think it feels so core to the deck, not to the extent that you plan on playing it every game, not that kind of core, but I feel like it makes the deck tick. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just one of those things that makes the deck work. Again, Psycho Pump, you can win plenty of games without Psycho Pump, but if Psycho Pump didn't exist, the deck would be significantly worse. It would not be top tier.
Yeah.
In my opinion, at least.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I think if you're playing Priest on ladder, put Bwonsamdi in. If you have Bwonsamdi, you should be playing it in the deck. When you're in tournament play, I think it gets a little bit more difficult because Bwonsamdi is horrendous in the mirror. It's one of the worst cards in the deck because the game just doesn't get to turn 7 the vast majority of the time. And so obviously for Tom, if he's trying to predict the Priest mirror, a card like Regenerate instead is a fantastic card. Just an extra cheap spell, draw a card with Cleric, buff your Light Warden, heal up your Tolvir. It has a lot of utility. So for Tom, I'm not saying I think it's necessarily correct. I think I understand where he's coming from, and I hope to see it do well in Grandmasters. Yeah, because again, it's classic Tom. He has these decks that are very standard. He's got Zoo, he's got Priest, but he puts a spin on them with his Plague of Flames in the Zoo, with his Scarab Egg as well as the Serpent Egg in the Zoo. He's not playing the standard list, which I think speaks to a deeper understanding of the metagame than other players.
Yeah, and I guess this raises the question for me, and it's just another format question, discussion point, is Tom's Priest does well in the mirror, right? It will probably have very favored in the mirror. 2 Silence and a Regenerate, fantastic. Tom banned Priest because Glory shielded Warrior.
That's
so
true, yeah.
It hits a weird point where
that is weird.
Well, it is and it isn't, right? Because it's still Priest.
Yeah.
Like, you still could just not queue into it and it queues into something else and you lose. But my question is, how much do you think you can tech for a deck like this? Because I think this is a very literal tech for the mirror match. And then how much do you have to respect banning it anyway? Because if he's teched for Priest and it's not as good in tons of other matchups, then he hits a matchup where his opponent doesn't shield Priest, but then you ban it anyway. Well, surely now Tom's Priest tech is just worse. Generally speaking.
I think so, yeah.
It's just a weird outcome, isn't it? Because of the shield and ban phase.
And I guess if you're coming in expecting your opponent to shield Priest, you want to be able to
right, well that's
have a
it.
chance
But the second someone doesn't, you're like, have I just been outpicked?
Yeah.
You know, like,
do I not ban Priest? I mean, it's still good for him, right? If he didn't think it was good to ban Priest, he wouldn't do it. He still thinks he's gained an advantage by banning away Priest. Very interesting.
Okay, well, exciting times. Game number 1. Tom, 60229 on the top, on the Priest. Glory on the Shaman. It's exciting because I've got my Shaman tech for you right now.
Hit me.
Right. Listen to this. Brace yourself. We've seen a lot of Shaman try and pull off MC tech, right?
We have.
Game-winning maneuvers.
Time and time again.
We've seen players play around MC tech to the extremes.
Oh, boy, have we.
It's a great commercial. Good job, director. Think about this.
I'm thinking.
Shaman, Griffin Rider. Battle Cry, you can Hero Power it, give them 2 minions, so you can MC tech, or even on its own it gives them 1 minion.
Yeah.
Is that not genius?
I like it.
Is
I like
that
it.
not genius?
Yeah.
You know what? Right, we've got video proof. Save the VODs. If someone does this in the next few weeks, I am taking 110% credit.
Well, I'm trying to think. I think I might have seen that.
No, not
Okay.
true.
Sorry, I was mistaken. Sorry,
Yeah.
I will correct myself.
You don't see, I'm just giving Darren Stern.
Yeah, I was going to say, like,
Stern looks.
I think I might have seen that on Boar stream, but oh no, just getting word, I'm wrong.
Just getting word.
I'm
Raymond's giving me
fired.
death stares. Well, hopefully we didn't see it, because that is honestly just something I thought about this morning while I was playing some morning Hearthstone with a coffee. I was like, it's genius, right? Because it's not the worst, man. 3 mana 3/4
Yeah, it's
that
fine.
gives you a
Yeah.
2/2 and gives them a 2/2.
If you can get more advantage out of the 2/2s as well. Yeah. Intriguing.
Yeah. And then think about it, in these matchups we've seen, your opponent just can't play around MCT.
Okay, hear me out.
Oof, I'm ready.
You're a priest. You're playing against warrior. You've got a cleric on board, a bunch of strong minions. Nothing's damaged. They're not playing anything. They're setting up for a brawl. You wish they had a minion you could attack into and then heal up. Griffin Rider Priest.
There you go. It makes sense. Maybe Griffin Rider's just the best card in the game and we're too dumb to know it.
We're too dumb for something.
Darren
That's
and Raven,
definitely true.
break the meta. Only in APAC Grandmasters. Make sure you tune in. But moving on to an actual real game of Hearthstone and not the weird, stupid games we play in our own minds. There is a mutate available for Glory and the MC tech. You know, you can see right now, Griffin Rider wouldn't cut it, but maybe in a
If
few
it costs
turns.
0 mana,
That's just a good card.
Spicy meatball.
Glory's got a rough go of it here, though. This is just not what he wants to do whatsoever, whereas Tom now just has great minions, right?
Yeah.
Like, he trades this board away, he can heal it up if he wants. Like, just trade, circle, face.
That sounds good
Are
to
you
me.
with me?
Yeah, because the one thing that was holding Tom back here is he doesn't want to play Amit unless he can sacrifice off one of his
Right.
minions. And Glory, by not playing the Sandstorm Elemental, which I think was absolutely correct, has made sure that Tom cannot trade off any of his minions, so Amit becomes significantly less playable.
And when you get into this spot,
So I like this.
instead of doing stupid things to get Amit playable, just don't play it.
Right.
You know,
Hit them for 11.
Guess
a
what?
turn.
If this continues, you win. If
Yeah.
it doesn't continue, or maybe you get Amit into Acolyte of Pain,
There we go.
which is fine.
And this is one of the things I've realized more and more while playing Priest, is that you don't have to do stuff every turn.
Yeah, not at all.
You know, a lot of the time you do want to spend your mana as efficiently as you humanly can. But against Warrior, not playing anything and just drawing cards. Against Priest, against Shaman, just going for something like this where you just hit them in the face every turn.
That was a bad totem to roll.
It,
Not with this turn,
Not
but
this
it's
turn.
not a totem you ever want versus Priest. Jeez.
now imagine if the Priest had Griffin Rider so it could give them an extra minion that it had to heal up with the healing totem.
Oh, it's all coming together. Huh?
Well, I think Tom's come to the realization now that if Mind Control Tech comes down, even if it steals the 11-2, he just wins, right? He has silence to get rid of it. If it heals Amit, obviously he wins.
Glory's like, well, I've heard this card's good. And,
Wah, wah. Literally the worst one.
oh, I guess he could, yeah. So he could have got the Kobold Lackey, of course, coined it out and killed off the 11-2. But that, in lightning speed fashion, tom60229, previous world champ, takes game number 1 versus Glory. And let me just remind you, this is like a top 4 division match.
Yeah.
That is a great Murloc mug.
It is.
Just as a side note.
Yeah, we should have a tier list of Hearthstone mugs. We've got Orange with his Hearthstone tankard, Tom with his Murloc mug.
I've got a Hearthstone coffee cup.
That's
at home.
true.
I was going to say I have to bring it in. I'll just fly home. So just go and get a mug.
Isn't this cool? Back
Just
to
a
the
white mug
broadcast.
with the Hearthstone logo on. Like, it doesn't beat the Murloc one. But anyway, yes, very quick fashion. So we will very quickly go to a break as well and be back with game number 2 very shortly.
What's up, Hearthstone fans? Welcome back to another episode of The Curve, where we draw on Curve the biggest headlines from this past weekend of Grandmasters. I'm your host, Nathan That's Admirable Zamora. Let's do this. In the Asia-Pacific region, Japanese player Glory has continued his win streak in Week 4. He leads Division B with a 7-1 match score. Glory has made very strong showings in 2018 and at the Masters Tour Las Vegas earlier this year. He did have a mediocre finish in Grandmasters Season 1, but has come out swinging in Season 2. Chansu still sits on top of Division A and is closely followed by Surrender, who has made it back to the top after a slow start. After looking unstoppable all season long, Hunter Ace finally took his first match loss to Swids, who was at the bottom of the division. Hunter Ace showed us that even the king could lose in combat. In Division B, Fino finally won his first match after a 0-7 start. Fino, facing a torrential turnabout from his previous season's success, now has a breath of life after that dismal start in Season 2. His winning interview shed some light on the division.
I don't think it's like even a shame to be last in my league, you know? Like if we played an 8-man tournament and I played against those players and I got last, I'd be like, all right, you know, like I wouldn't be upset or like mad at myself for that. I have been punished for not playing as well as I played last season, and I accept that. I just accept that. I need to improve, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Just Saying looks to be back to his winning self as he walked away with a pair of W's this weekend and is the sole possessor of the best record in the entire region. The return to the Conquest format seems to be going well for our 2018 3-star Master player. But in traditional Saiyan fashion, he's staying humble through the wins and is staying critical of his own play. The entire Division B is very close in the standings, though, as the top 6 players are within a win of each other. Friendly jabs are par for the course, as the players constantly calling out the competitors.
Now, if we take a look at the standings, you're second in your division, tied with Eddie and Gallon. And
That's that is so embarrassing being like tied with Gallon. I play him next week again. Last time I lost to him. I'd made to make this embarrassing tweet. Listen, Gallon, buddy, you're not going 2-0 against me in Grandmaster. It's like the worst thing that could ever happen to him. He's gonna have I've been trying to keep his ego in check for years, and like, it's gonna blow out of control, Dan. I'm very worried.
China's Gold Open qualifications are underway right now. In first place is IG Sif. The top 8 has a lot of familiar players such as Zhao Ti, Shar, and Yu Ying, who have all been on the international stage. The final winner from the Gold Open will join VK Lion on her trip to BlizzCon later this year. The winner will be decided on October 6th at the Gold Open Foshan. If you're looking for more information on the China region, you can find all the info at gold.blizzard.cn/GTC. In this week's meta moment, we want to highlight the Holy Wrath Paladin. After seeing a dominance of Mage in Week 1, Priest in the weeks since, Holy Wrath Paladin looks to be the class that was the flavor of the week in each the European and the Americas region. The archetype is largely unchanged since the last expansion, with the exception of Zephyrus being the major kicker. Players are able to demonstrate their prowess as the deck spends a large portion of the game responding to circumstances. It has made a return because of its reliability, consistency, and major damage output at the end of the game. If you missed any of the Grandmasters action, you can check out the VODs on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Hearthstone Esports. Grandmasters resumes this weekend. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. You can always stay up to date with the deck lists and the schedule on playhearthstone.com/esports. That's it for us. We'll see you in the tavern.
We are back, and we apologize just in case you missed game 1. It was so quick, but it was Tom versus Glory. Tom taking a very quick win over Glory. Now we're going to be moving on to, I believe, Tom's control. He went full Dorinda then. Control Warrior versus, I believe, Glory's Quest Shaman.
Yeah, a matchup that we in the Asia-Pacific region, I think, have been living in a little bit of a bubble with regards to where the Warrior just kind of seems to be dumpstering the Shaman for the most part. But maybe with Frosty ushering in a new era the other day, where he got one of the most dominant matchups we've seen in Grandmasters so far, in the Asia-Pacific region at least. His Shaman versus Warrior wasn't even close. It was one of the most one-sided matchups we've ever seen versus Patra. And maybe that's slightly more indicative of the way it will pan out.
It's weird though, right? Because for me, that feels like the extremes, right? When we say matchups are favored and decks are unlikely to win, you can draw really well and your opponent can draw bad. and you'll win, even if the
Yeah.
matchup is unfavored or whatever. Whereas I feel like the Shaman's got game, but I feel like that game was literally the best Shaman game you could play.
Yeah.
The only other way Shaman could match it is if it did that, matched it. I don't think there was a better hand, a better play from Frosty to win that game. Whereas I think generally, honestly, people just keep disagreeing, which is fine. People are allowed to. But I feel like a lot of the time Warrior just clears your board, and unless ridiculous things happen, you just can't keep doing too much. But maybe what I am missing, which is fine if I am, that Shaman can do ridiculous things more often than I'm giving it credit for, which I think is a more reasonable question. And if that is the case, great.
I think what it comes down to a lot of the time is if the Warrior has early plays to keep up at the start, because just look at this play for Glory. He went coin into Totem instead of Quest into Questing Explorer, which is the more standard play, I think. Because Tom full mulliganed away his hand, he's only running one Frightened Flunky, so he felt able to do this. He didn't feel like it would be contested in the average draw. And Tom does not have anything to contest this board, so Glory can start generating filthy amounts of value.
Yeah, and you see this
Absolutely.
very common plays, Mind Control Tech on 3 versus Warrior. Well, I say common play. If you have it in your hand, you don't mulligan for it, but if you have it in your hand, you generally dump it down because Mind Control Tech just almost never really gets value, and if it does, you're already in trouble because that means the Warrior has a huge board.
I guess this was better against Warpath.
What did you want to play? Because I think Mind Control Tech there is always good.
At first I was looking at Evil Totem plus Lackey, but then I realized Warpath destroys that. I don't want to do that. I was looking at Questing Explorer. Just get it onto the board and play, I guess, a Lackey as well, maybe to fill out your mana. Next turn, we could have seen Bog Slosher to bounce back the Questing
I think it's
Explorer.
just more mana efficient and flexible to play Mind Control Tech.
Fair.
Just because
It's
like
fine,
the
I
battle
think.
cry still goes off, so the quest still ticks.
Yeah.
Just get it down on the board. It contests some stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I like it.
Fair enough. And, you know, saving Lackeys does have benefits. You can bounce them, you can get a better barista at a certain point as well.
Yeah, and I think that might be the crazy stuff that you need to consistently do well in this matchup. Because maybe, in my experience, maybe I've been playing stuff out a bit too willy-nilly. You know, and just going,
Maybe.
okay, well, you know, I'll play this Lackey here, I'll generate this there, I'll do this. Maybe I've not been saying, actually, I'll just hold back more stuff to have stronger waves of minions later on.
And the interesting thing here for Tom is while he had a very lackluster start to the game, I wonder if that will maybe just not matter because his late game is looking so dominant. Or I suppose in this matchup, the mid game of
yeah, I guess so.
turn
It can
6
go.
and
It can go to fatigue as well.
Exactly. As we've seen, you know, certain players, was it Glory who played this way? Where he saved the Kobold Lackey for the entire game to go with Barista.
I think it was Glory.
Yeah. Or maybe Chonsu, one of the top players in either division.
And now this is where, although the deck, you know, feels powerful all the time, is where you get rewarded or not for your plays as to how powerful it can be.
Yeah.
Glory has a lot of intricate plays he could do this turn and the next 1 to 2 turns as well, based on his hand. But how do you do it? Like, you can bounce anything, you can use whatever lackeys, you can generate more lackeys, you can draw. What order do you prop the battle cries? What do you value more of having the hero power plus the battle cry? Because, for example, if he plays this lackey, then unless he bounces it, then he doesn't have hero power faceless, which is almost a board generation for 3 mana in itself. So it's very interesting that there's so much you can do with this deck. Ooh.
Glory in the hero power there. I wonder if that's actually a mistake.
The more I press hero power as Shaman, the more I hate it.
Yeah, I think I would rather have nothing than, yeah, sorry, cover your ears.
You'd rather have board space.
Wrath of Air Totem. Yeah, I'd rather have nothing, exactly. I'd rather have the space on board. And, you know, the Armageddon came down, so it doesn't matter too much, but just for the rest of the game, maybe.
Right, it's in the way.
It's just in the way, yeah.
And you want to evolve it.
Exactly. You don't want to have to rush it in. You
And
want
it
to
could
just
win a
not be
brawl.
there. Yeah. That's true, it's just bad for
That's what I mean. Like,
yeah.
the only time I think it's okay to play is versus aggro when you need something on the board, which is just a very basic Hearthstone principle. With Shaman especially, you just if you don't have stuff to play, press your hero power because it creates a minion. But yeah, in general, I hate it in any remotely mid-range to slow matchup.
Me too.
Because like, look, now he's got to trade something else to use another minion, and then he's got to trade something else if he wants to play something else more powerful.
Kobold Lackey being played out here quite aggressively, which actually I don't think I like. With a double Bog Slosher in hand, like I was going to say, without Barista Lynchen, saving the Kobold Lackey isn't necessarily that important. But with double Bog Slosher in hand, I think I would actually like to have seen the Kobold Lackey saved to play it, bounce it, play it.
Also, is a Lackey in hand? Oh, sorry, a Lackey being used really good enough to just save a 4-1?
Yeah, that's what I mean,
like,
right? Just trade in the 4-1 and save the Kobold Lackey. I think this is actually quite sloppy from Glory in general, compared to how we've seen him so far. There's quite a lot I disagree with.
Frost Shock probably gave the Ziliax follow-up if he wants to go face.
Oh, 0 mana Frost Shock. Old school Hex. Now we're talking.
And now, it's unfortunate that the Kobold got sniped by the Dynamatic,
Of course.
because bouncing that would just be like, maybe the game's just over.
And it can be argued, of course, that bouncing the Rat is better because you get more lackeys. You still have a chance to get the Kobold Lackey, but I'm honestly not even sure how much better bouncing an Evil Cable Rat is than...
Versus a guaranteed Kobold?
Exactly,
I mean,
because
you're playing Cable Rat to get Kobolds. So.
You're getting more value out of the Rat, but so many of the lackeys feel like they do so little. Not nothing, but they're just not doing what you're trying to do in the matchup.
Well, trying to do... Yeah, in this game specifically, Glory wants to kill Tom right now, which means he wants damage. He did generate another Kobold Lackey, so that's actually pretty sick. He can do... okay, he's not quite got the mana to do the silly bounces in one turn, but it's not looking too bad. Plague of Wrath going to be used in a very funny way.
It's a pretty lackluster Plague of Wrath. I guess it's okay. Kill off some...
I think it was needed. I think it was under a lot of pressure.
It was that or Tomb Warden, and I guess you don't want to play it just to die, given how small Tom's hand is. But, you know, while we've been criticizing some of Glory's plays, bless you, and I think with good reason, he's quite clearly far in the lead at this point. The
and
amount
that
of
former
damage
champ
he
was a
can
sick
push.
pickup. No armor either to whip in a shield slam. Very frustrating.
True.
I think if there was even one armor, he might shield slam the 1-1 if it stayed as a 1-1 next turn.
Probably, yeah.
Good thing to note, though, is these two Moderns challenge the 5/5s.
That doesn't very well, but it's better than a 1-1.
It's sticky, at least.
Oh, 2 Kobolds.
8 damage from hand.
Now we're talking. 12 with the Bog Slosher as well. Like, Glory's just homing in on lethal very quickly here.
Well, that's just...
Wow!
That's just lethal at some point in this game.
That is just lethal at some point.
He's overloaded, though, only 8 mana this turn. He really needs 10 mana to do the big, crazy stuff. But now you've got to ask yourself...
So you play Hex on this turn. Yeah. I love to see the Hex here. Get more damage through to face.
I think he wants to probably just trade as many minions in as well, right?
Does he? Make room?
Yeah. Look at next turn, right?
Good
Like,
point.
It's just hero power, Lackey, bounce, Lackey.
I liked this turn a lot. The Hex I loved. The, you know, I suppose the Sandstorm wasn't necessarily crucial, but it just got the most amount of damage through, and it means next turn he's set up so easily lethal. I like this a lot.
Yep, still has enough mana to do the full Lackey turn next turn.
And it does look like Tom probably going for a full board clear here. Just dies. Damn.
Yep, can't even hero power.
Absolutely dominant start here for Glory, and this is what it comes down to, I think, a lot of the time, is that if the Warrior has the early game to stop the Shaman from playing evil totems, bouncing all their stuff, getting in the chip damage, that is when the Warrior has a really good shot at extending into the late game.
Yeah.
When you get a game like this, there is nothing.
It's when you look at like what was his opening hand, like double Tomb Warden, Armageddillo, and something else, because we've not seen Eternium Rover, we've not seen Town Criers, we've not seen a Frightened Flunky, we've not seen Weapons Project, we've not seen Snip Snap.
Yeah.
Like, if you miss all of that against Shaman, then sure, Shaman's going to steamroll it if their hand is good. And not only was Tom's opening hand bad, Glory's opening was very good. It was almost exactly what you want. Shaman. He got the coin totem out safely, which was huge, and then he got the follow-up. He had the Questing Explorer. He had everything to just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And like I said, even the Mind Control tech on 3 is better than... you can argue it's better than a Wasp on 3 because you'd rather play a Mind Control tech out in the matchup for nothing than a Wasp for nothing. So Glory had a really good opening and utilised it very well. There were, I think, a couple of things he kind of maybe got away with, but I think it was so far ahead that it was more difficult for him to lose the game, even with, you could argue, some suboptimal plays.
Yeah, I think it was just a slight, small things where the rope was burning, so he pressed hero power. It makes sense. You generally want to fit in more hero powers, and the main criticism we've had of the really egregious misplays have been matchup misunderstandings or rope burnings, like we saw from Samuel Sau, where it was just a disaster of a turn. That was not a disaster at all for Glory. It was small things he could have improved on, but overall I think he knew what he was doing in the matchup and got there very easily.
Yep, and it also helps when there are just Kobold lackeys pretty,
that helps.
Coming thick and fast. Well, the second you get bored and Kobold lackeys, the game becomes more straightforward. If you have one or the other, game's a little bit more difficult because normally one by themselves doesn't really get you there unless you've got exactly like Lackey Barista hero power go off.
Yeah.
But even then, like, the damage, although is a lot, if you've not pressured Warrior early, it's still not enough. But having both of those just pieces together is great. And now, put your feet up. There's got to be one a day, I think. It's the Warrior Mirror.
God, we were doing so well.
I know we were. Well,
okay.
Here's Tom and Glory slowing down the day.
Glory as well. That's just funny. Drawing that hand and then just, oh, come on. Like, don't play Warrior Mirrors then, right? If you don't want to see this, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
don't cue it.
Take Tao's approach. He was like, yeah, guys, I'm just going to make sure Warrior's banned out. So, not going to shield it, not going to bring it. I'm going to ban it out if possible. That's a hero of the people as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly. Especially as far as Warrior Mirrors can go, I think we're both not the biggest fans of them. I think we've had pretty good ones here in Asia-Pacific. I think every time both players have found Dr. Boom, which, in my opinion, makes for significantly more interesting mirrors.
And honestly, for me, however much we joke, because, we like to become Twitch chat now and again, but however much we joke about Warrior Mirrors, and all that, it's not actually the gameplay itself that bothers me. It's the time it takes to just get to the interesting stuff that bothers me. Because although, yes, these small plays right now will have impact in the late game, so much more of the impact all happens at the end of the game. So early on, we normally see players just taking it slow, armoring up, passing, using as few cards as possible, not playing tempo, not trying to be aggressive. And honestly, if both players spend 10 turns doing nothing, that is more boring. That's just true.
It is just true.
But
However,
the actual end game is pretty hype.
It is.
The big
it
thing.
really is. But Glory here, he ain't taking it slow. He's not going for a late game approach. He's playing Snip Snap on 4 to hit his opponent in the face. And then it dies and we go back to a nice gentle approach of one card every 3 turns.
If we're looking.
On a good day. Unless it's just Tempo Harrison on 5.
Is Tempo Harrison that bad?
You don't want to draw cards.
Oh, Tempo Harrison is bad.
Tempo Harrison is bad?
Yes.
Dies to Dynamatic.
Do I just give them a card to play that is insane?
It is just bad. The point I wanted to bring up is that the tempo part of Tempo Harrison is not bad. You want to play it when it's not drawing any cards.
Yeah, I agree.
I think.
Maybe unless it's late game.
Unless actually, let's check over the list quickly actually, just to make sure.
What have you got to draw on these pictures, by the way? How are you
I took a
drawing?
screenshot of them, and then I'm in, I don't know, photos or whatever, and then you can draw.
Oh, you're a genius. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but I am. We've just switched over from paper deck lists to iPad deck lists here. We've entered the 21st century here in the Asia-Pacific studios, and we are struggling.
Oh, you know what? We're really stupid. We should just have one player on each.
Oh, what, and share the iPads?
Yeah.
Let's put them in the middle. My
Oh,
goodness.
that's just the correct play, isn't it?
I mean, honestly, I'm thinking of sending an email to Apple right now.
Oh, the
Imagine
iBook.
this. The iBook. Oh my god. You pull it open. 2 iPads, not for the price of 1. For the price of like 4 probably.
It's like the old DS.
It's like a DS. But it costs about 5 grand.
We're not going to make it the price of 2 iPads. We're going to make it the price of 20. That's what you get for the iBook.
It's like the Megatron in Peep Show. Actually, it's not like that.
As Darren nearly fell over or pushed something over anyway. But so far, though, let's get back to the actual game. Plague of Wrath being used to clear up these minions from Tom. Tom actually played stuff and got Harrison off himself. He did. Harrison's all the way across the board. And now just edging. He can coin into the Dr. Boom as he edges towards some better place for the late game, I think, whereas Glory is a whole lot of nothing. He's playing cards, though. Yes! Playing stuff. I don't even know if it's correct.
This is so different
yes.
from what we've seen. This is so different because I think the only player we've seen play like this has been Blood Trail, right?
Yeah.
There is a difference here, though, and I think it's perfectly exemplified by Glory's reaction to seeing Dr. Boom. He doesn't have it. He's thinking, if I'm going to win this, I have to play for tempo.
Oh, now the slap in the face from the Armageddon the turn after he played the Tomb Warden.
You just slap that bad boy on the board, though, now, right? Like, it's consistent with the game plan. Maybe you don't want to play into Brawl too much.
Slap the top of the Armageddon and say, you can fit a lot of Feels Bad Man in this, as he got it in the wrong way around.
Do you have any idea how many L's you can fit in this bad boy?
Now Elysiana is well in hand for Tom. He has all the pieces of the late game puzzle.
All right, rewarded for holding the Armageddon. What a god.
Does this actually have a Dynomatic? Gives you just one trade?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And again, if he's not playing Armageddon last turn, it makes sense to hold it back again, right? You don't want to play into Brawl.
And I think Dynomatic's actually beyond. So there's 2 plays in, Warrior Mirrors. There's 0 plays where you just don't do anything.
Yeah.
Okay, there's maybe 3. I might do 3.
It's binary.
Well, there's bad plays where
Yeah.
you have to play a card because you will overdraw and you deem the card drawn better than a card in your hand, which is generally bad. You don't just want to play cards that do nothing. Then there are just okay plays, which get you some kind of advancement through the game. And then there are good plays, which is mainly just super late game boom stuff. But really, that Dynomatic was very much not just a play because you have to play something. It actually did something for Glory, which is why I think turns like that you actually do take in this matchup.
Glory here now with his other minions being cleared off says, okay, let's swing to Brawl and of course the second Plague o' Wrath, and therefore can tempo out the minion, start to set up for Tomb Wardens and the beefy Moshog.
Light the fuses!
Isn't it weird that it's called a Moshog Enforcer?
Why?
Because you'd imagine the stat line of an Enforcer is quite high because it is an
Have a high
aggressive.
attack power.
Yeah, whereas I feel like it's more like a Moshog Bodyguard because it's just in the way and it takes hits for you.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know what I mean? I feel like an Enforcer would have higher attack because it's like that's the one that meets out the damage.
I guess it's just like, you know, you're trying to get into the arena. Sorry, you're not on the list. You're staying out.
So Moshog Bouncer then?
Moshog Bouncer. Yeah, maybe. But then it would have to return a minion to the hand. It's like, for me, the minion that makes the least sense is Regenerate and Thug.
Why?
You can't just call a thing Regenerate and like, that it does that now.
But it's Troll.
I know, but like,
The Trolls.
why don't they all do it then? Why just this one? He's
All
a thug, and he's Regenerate. This thug,
Sometimes it's gonna just
you better
do what
believe
it
he
says on the tin.
regenerates. Yeah, well.
He's rusty and he's a recycler.
Yeah, well then, like,
I love Lifesteal Robot.
this one's attack and bot. He attacks.
Shield slam it? Slams it with a shield?
Yeah.
I wish there was a they should release that just as a special event. Every card is just called what it does.
Well, it's called what pro players call it.
Yeah.
Like how Cold Light Seer plus attack Murloc guy. Or plus health Murloc.
Funny enough, again, like both players, Tom, you know, less so, but both players are playing stuff out and getting getting something on the board to try and actually pressure it. Now there's a kind of mechanical well just telling Tom's he's got a lot of stuff.
And I think while we have criticized players in the past for playing out too aggressively, I think both players are probably doing the right thing here because Glory is trying to say, I need to win the matchup in tempo right now because you have Dr. Boom and I don't. Whereas Tom is saying, you don't have Dr. Boom, so you are going to struggle to clear off all this stuff,
Right,
so I'm going to kill you.
Because Dr. Boom is both an aggressive and defensive tool, which is what makes it so powerful. Because it's defensive in the form of Rush being used for on-spot removal by minions.
Yeah.
But it's also aggressive because Rush is on-spot removal from minions. So it means that whoever has it really can take charge in whatever way they desire. And as you said, it's really on Glory now to pull something out of the bag. As Wally got buff.
He's just got like his claws and scissors coming out of him at all angles.
Wally Scissorhands.
I've never actually seen Edward Scissorhands. Can't make a joke about that.
Yeah, you can joke about stuff that you don't know about. Isn't that 99%
That's my
of
job.
Twitter comedy?
So many choices.
Look at this weapons project being like, 2 damage weapon doesn't really do much, does it? And then you realise, it's got shield slam, it's okay. Imagine a weapons project. Okay, so there's 3 swings of this, and
And it's kind of, you know, we have joked about a bit in the previous Warrior Mirrors, like you said. This feels to me like one of the just the more one-sided ones. I don't know. It's difficult to find stuff to talk about in this matchup when players often joke about this matchup. They say it's just whoever finds Dr. Boom first. When both players find it, it gets very interesting. When this happens, it just feels terrible.
And also, I think whoever finds it first is a very bad way to put it, and a bad opinion of it to have.
Fair.
I think if one player finds it way before another, it's a problem. If
Absolutely.
Glory pulled it a turn or so ago, I think it's
Game
not,
carries
he's
on.
not winning, but
Yeah.
he's not losing. Whereas if Glory if it's his last card of his deck, then he has lost mainly due to just the power level of Boom and the power level reduction of Glory not having access to it. Might as well not be in his deck.
Tom did not even think about whether he should not shield slam his own minion there. That was an insta 19 damage on his own guy.
It's when you know you think you're ahead. You shield slamming your own minion.
F in the chat for that one microbot who is severely dead.
So please, not me, not me. Made the mistake of making eye contact with Tom. But you know what we do when you don't want to get picked for something in school. You always just look away.
Look away,
And just
yeah.
don't look directly at the teacher. That's what I used to try and do until they realised I was doing it, and then I always got picked for things because I wasn't looking. So I tried to vary it up, and then I looked and got picked as well. And I was like, okay, why am I getting picked on it?
Well, yeah, that's what I realised when being on the other side, having worked in classrooms a little bit. It's never random. You're always picking on someone for some reason.
And
Not to be
now we
mean.
know why Derek
Not to
is
be
not
mean.
teaching anymore.
Yeah. Well, because they need help in certain areas of their development.
I used to be a teaching assistant for a short time.
I just didn't know that.
I was trained to be a teacher at one point, in my younger years.
Really?
And I was like, screw this, I'm going to play video games.
Yeah, me too.
Who needs teachers when we need Hearthstone casters? Definitely the
Exactly.
more important role to fulfill in the world.
Yeah, as they always say, the mark of a healthy society where people can train to become doctors, lawyers, and Hearthstone casters.
And now finally this Moshog's hit the board, and it is... So if you just look at Glory's side of the board, it's a really good minion. But when you look at Tom's hand, it's dead with very little effort.
Yeah.
Tom as well, just to note that we've not really discussed, and maybe we should have, is playing Devastators. He isn't playing the list that's like the hardcore heavy removal list that a lot of other players have adopted since I think Hunter started bringing it a couple of weeks ago.
And I think that's one of the cases of players seeing something that a player they trust, obviously, in Hunter is bringing, and they assume it's good, without necessarily testing it all too much themselves. Because it makes sense. I can see the reasoning behind cutting, the Omega Devastators, because you're, I don't know, trying to counteract Druid, trying to counteract Priest. You don't necessarily want it early on. The game's decided very early. I just think it's too good of a card to cut. Like, it's just
It's
so
one of the first
strong.
things that I said. I actually could not believe that Omega Devastator was not even one was in Warrior. I was like, especially with the discovered nerf.
Yeah.
I feel like it's even more imperative because you don't discover it as often.
Like it fits into the same camp as Bonsamdi as me, where I can understand it's not good in certain matchups. Maybe you want to tech for the correct things, but the power level is so high that it just overcomes the fact that it's not good in certain matchups.
Speaking of power level, not show this card to Casey. Luckily enough, I think it's very early in the morning for you, so I doubt he's watching. So I can get away with comments like that.
It's not that early. What is it? EU time. They're only
no,
6 hours
no,
behind.
yeah.
It's
I
12
forgot
o'clock.
what time it. Oh no. I mean,
Put your ears to the ground. I can hear him right now. He's coming.
I said Mason.
He's like, oh, okay, of course, never mind. He hates Mechathune.
I've heard of him. Okay, well, 2 more than just a quick snap follow-up from Tom there as the Mechathune was cleared up. I say pretty easily. It did take a lot of resources for Glory to kill that Mechathune.
Yeah, yeah.
So, although it didn't get to swing, which would have been detrimental, of course, with Glory being on relatively low health, it did soak up tons of removal.
And like, just look at how the game plays out from here on, right? Omega Devastator, very, very easy play here. Boom, boom,
Shield
takes
slam,
one of them out, takes
hit
one of the
6.
other. Glory only has so many brawls, which is to say, 2.
And the thing is as well, what do you think about this? Do you think Tom can actually just play Elysiana early? Because Glory has to have a whole turn when he plays Boom.
Maybe.
And draw it.
After he's seen
2
this-
9-mana turns, you just kill him.
Like, after he's seen the second piece of hard removal, I think absolutely.
Yeah, just kill him. You just play a 7/7, do your deck now while you can, and then he cannot play any of his 9-drops because he'll die.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, the games get rough when the Boom's like last card in the deck, and it might well be for Glory,
Yeah.
which you just gotta feel bad.
It's just one of the matches that I absolutely hate to cast. Like,
Roll on rotation.
we can talk endlessly about plays that they could have made to improve their chances, right? But it's just something so glaringly obvious that went right for one player but not for the other.
Argument to cycle through the deck as quickly as you can as Warrior until you draw Boom and then wait.
I mean, it's like the old Control Mage mirrors, remember, that we had to cast with Jaina for both players. And
Right.
if you found Jaina earlier, you just won. It's how the game works.
As I said, though, we're actually itching towards rotation pretty soon. It will come
We
around
actually
quicker.
are.
You know, it comes around quicker than you think.
Yeah. It
If you
seems
think.
like only yesterday we had Rise of Shadows.
Right, and GM's going to finish soon. BlizzCon, the Global Finals, is very soon after that. And then, you know, I don't know the schedule for next year, but we might
Yeah,
not
of course.
see a Grandmaster season until rotation happens. And then guess what? Say your farewells to Mr. Boom.
Unity.
Goodbye.
Precision.
Good riddance. Never darken my doorstep again. Because, in all honesty, I think the nerf to Dr. Boom was surprisingly effective. I was honestly thinking that 9 mana would not make enough of a difference to affect the game that much. Outside of this exact matchup,
Oh, it really does.
it really makes a
does,
huge
yeah.
difference.
And honestly, I think it was a good way to do it. Mainly because I don't generally like the approach of what some people want from nerfs, which is delete this card from the game. Because I think
Hey!
literally last card. Yeah, there's Elysiana. It's not going to be played, is it?
Probably not. Oh!
Doable.
You're saying there's a chance. The old double Mechathune. Oh wait, does that make it literally impossible? Oh no, you just
No,
throw
you
away
just,
the first
yeah,
one.
you just get rid of the first one. Improve morale.
Improve morale, yeah, I guess.
Cleave's not the end of the world, although that was a very low power. What was it? The whip, cleave, and
Murloc Raider.
Oh,
The epitome of garbage cards.
I was watching Asmo's stream yesterday. He queued in someone. The person was, I think, 20-something legend. They accidentally queued basic druid. Played like Murloc Raider and stuff. Yeah. Had all basic cards.
We've all been there.
Yeah. Move on. Look, you know, Glory had the Elysiana down. It's gone. Tom still has retained board control.
Yep.
And now, the Super Collider as well is huge because the stuff you generally want from Elysiana are big derpy minions.
That's right.
That often die to a Super Collider swing if you play more than one.
And Glory has to know, if he plays Dr. Boom here and does not apply pressure instead, Elysiana comes down, which is obviously dreadful. But what alternative does he have? Play the Boom Reaver?
Well, I think
guess.
the Boom Reaver makes it so he can get away with this, because if Elysiana comes down, he Boom Reavers, can rush it in, and then has another minion to maybe kill this taunt.
Yeah. Frightened
Silver
Flunky
Hand
is
Knight?
insane.
Oh, okay.
Senjin, yeah, I guess.
Ooh.
Dr. Boom Scheme. Dr. Boom Scheme is insane. It's insane.
The best card ever printed.
It's one of the best cards off of Elysiana, undeniably.
Gobbo. Generous Mummy! Pick it, Tom.
Pick
We
it.
have a 2 for 2 in the series with Generous Mummy.
I didn't actually see which one he did pick there. I'd be very surprised if it was Generous Mummy over like Earthen Ring, I think was the other option.
Yeah, we can get a hover in just a second. Oh no, the automaton.
Clockwork. Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
Which makes sense.
of course.
Deal 2, deal 6.
Not the worst.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the Boom Reaver actually made this Boom, Dr. Boom, sorry,
Yeah.
more playable because of this like swing snapback play, and now he has a Mechathune with Rush too.
You know, okay, this is
He's Tom60229, ever in trouble, Derek.
Thomas 6's OS2 as 2 as 9s. He's such a health disadvantage, right, though? And
has
Dr.
no
Boom's scheme
minions.
is so good.
Well,
just
does it,
overcoming
is
the
it, has it
disadvantage.
got time to be good?
Yes, like, what does Glory have in his deck? Mechathoons. That's the biggest threat he has, which is not bad, of course.
Ooze Champ? Look at these plays. These are top-notch plays here from Glory. Honestly, I'm maybe
Yeah.
overselling it, but if Glory was ever going to
Okay,
win this
okay,
game, these
fair
are the
enough,
plays
fair
he's got to
enough.
make, right?
That's true.
Cleared the board, kills off the... okay, he didn't, but I thought he was going to kill off the Super Collider.
Especially as second, like, Mechathoon is actually something to consider as a win condition here.
As long as Glory doesn't die, and if Tom's hand weakens,
Yeah.
he's just a whole load of spells, like... Imagine if after all that...
If after all the complaining we've done this
Oh, yeah.
series about Dr. Boom,
It took us years, but we finally got a Mechathune win.
maybe. I don't think it's going to happen.
But it could, and I'm
But
not
it
even
could.
memeing. It actually could.
Yeah, it actually is not that unlikely because Glory's deck, sorry, is quite low value.
And Tom's hand is low value, as in not great.
Okay.
Thinking about the Thune.
I'm always thinking of that too.
I don't mind too many different plays here from Glory, because if he's actually playing 2 Mechathune, then he needs to make sure he empties his hand, right? So just play all the cards you
Of
can.
course.
He doesn't need to splurge them all out. He has 5 turns to do it, right?
Yeah.
Bomb's a little bit annoying.
Yeah, it's a lot of damage.
Nice heal, though. But we've got to remember, Apple Bomb. he's not mega far behind.
We have to remember as well, if Glory is going to go for the Mechathune route, as soon as he makes it obvious that he has the Mechathune, Tom can hold on to a Clockwork Goblin while Mechathune is on the board.
Yes.
Play the Clockwork Goblin, then kill it.
I believe he does. Glory does not have a way to snap kill Mechathune, right? So it has to be a natural death Mechathune.
And so with the extra Clockwork Goblin that's left in deck, I believe there's one left.
He can play it, kill the Mechathune.
Exactly.
But I guess my question then is, can he actually kill the Mechathune?
A very
Because
good
he
question.
needs to do it in one turn.
Very good
Oh,
question.
well, that's a good one that helps.
That does help a
Bulldozer.
lot.
Yeah, not the Senjin. Everyone's like, why'd you Senjin? Oh, it's like, no, Bulldozer, guys, sorry.
Imaginary person in my head. Quiet, quiet.
Senjin's like, I agree. I should have regenerate too.
I'm a thug.
I think Troll's more relevant, but okay. I don't think it's... yeah, in WoW lore, thugs have regenerate.
Well, it's called Regenerating Thug. How am I supposed to know?
Troll. Trolls regenerate.
Why is it called Regenerating Troll?
Because he's obviously a troll. Use your eyes.
Fair. Did you not like that?
Well, how does he kill the second one?
Well, he's got to kill the first one first, or it hits him for 10 every turn.
Right, but what I mean is he has shield block, he has brawl, he has taunts. You know, he has other things he could have done, whereas this is game.
I cannot
Is this going to be minion into brawl and hope Mechathune wins? Question mark. for
Maybe,
Tom?
maybe.
But that's what worried me.
This place is
In the
scary.
yes, obviously he dies if a 10-10 hits him for the rest of the game every turn.
Yeah.
But that was a minion that can kill a Mechatoon from hand almost. If you have 1 point of damage elsewhere,
Yeah.
you kill it from hand and it's not a problem.
Oh my god, could Glory actually win this? If this is our second generated Mechatoon Control Warrior Mirror win
This
of the week.
weekend,
Yeah.
Whew. I'm ready. My body's ready. Darren.
And we saw, I think quite understandably, a strong table smash from Casey after he
Tom's
lost.
way too cool of a cucumber to do that.
Is he though?
The one thing I will say is Tom's
Is he,
arms
though?
are not in the air like he just does not care.
It's
I
true.
think he cares. His arms
They're
are
down
down.
on
He's
the
sat quite
desk.
forward.
Like I don't know. Nothing rhymes with desk.
Don't think that can stay on stream anyway. I was trying to think of what I was going to say.
Yeah, I know. I'm too pure of mind, it would appear.
So there's 2 draws. Glory is getting beaten up a little bit though.
He is. He is.
And remember,
But
Glory needs to actually kill the Mechatoon. There isn't that much high damage minions on the board.
yeah. Goblin over missile. What does missile launcher do? Has rush, of course, and he can play it with the ooze on this turn. Importantly, do you take that just because it's the highest mana cost? It's not even that much better in stats than Goblin though, and Goblin obviously has a much more powerful effect.
You don't care about the damage though, right? I think you don't care about the damage, and this kills a 3/4.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Right? Because like
Yeah.
the fact, I think Glory's planning on either Mechatoon doing the Mechatoon thing or hitting him for 10 a turn,
yes, he
in
is.
which I don't think a Goblin Bomb dramatically changes the outcome.
But could it be the case that Tom can just literally ignore the 10 damage every turn because he has such a big health
What,
lead and
fatigue
2
champ?
boom schemes?
He's not got that big. 20. The boom schemes are a big
2
deal,
turns?
but
Maybe,
you know,
I
it's,
don't know.
Mechatoon's
I
a big
don't know.
boy,
Yeah, yeah.
and he still has to deal with this as well. Is he just going to warpath this and leave the board empty?
Those militia commanders are very nice though. Very, very
And I believe Tom should know that there is no way for Glory to snap kill his own Mechatoon
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
by now, right? Because
It's
he's
one other
drawn
card.
everything, right? So he should know, which means...
Well, Tom should know 100% what Glory has
Yeah.
left,
Oh,
which is nothing.
well. Oh, that bomb's actually pretty huge, isn't it?
Like now, he can just.
Can't even armor up that
He can
turn.
just
That blast
ignore,
shield is
right?
huge. He's also out of cards, though. Oh, the Goblin Bomb. Okay, so you just Goblin
That has
Bomb
to just
into
be
a
game.
taunt,
That
right?
has to be game.
Goblin Bomb, taunt, taunt. Or taunt hero power is probably better.
I
he's
think
literally
I think
just
he
not playing
salty
it.
just wins here. Right, it takes 2 damage, and then there's 3,
5,
five.
6, 7, 8.
which is 8, and then 9, and like he can just Doctor
Yeah.
Boom scheme every so
Oh,
often. He
that's-
wins.
He's got... I respect this from Glory, though.
Yeah, he's thinking maybe if I can go Zap Cannon and something else, Zap Cannon something else, maybe. Like if he goes exactly Zap Cannon Blast Shield, Zap Cannon Blast Shield. Are there any mechs that allow him to like sacrifice it off?
No, because then there'd be a mech.
Yeah, of
wouldn't there?
course. Yeah, even magnetized on that doesn't mean. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. Like
Magnetized-
Ziliax, if he can go into
Oh,
Ziliax,
Ziliax.
magnetize
Yeah,
it on,
then he
and just
wins.
heal
Yeah,
every
yeah.
turn,
Oh,
because then either it dies
or he wins.
or he wins exactly.
He either wins or he wins more.
Hmm.
Interesting.
But of course, he did not get delivery.
He's got
trait.
one more turn.
He
though.
does survive a turn exactly.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
And Tom looking decidedly less confident than he did last turn. He's trying to run through probably exactly what we're thinking. Like,
So-
what if Ziliax comes
So
down?
should he should play a militia commander. Militia commander.
Love that you.
Oh my
Phantom
God.
Militia.
Phantom militia. There we go. He should play it, right? He knows what the hero power is going to be. He knows there's only the
I
2
guess.
attack weapon. It heals him for 10.
But
right?
he's wondering about allowing Mechatoon to attack in. What about if another zap is generated? I think he's come to the conclusion he can just do nothing and he wins. And
Another
Glory
zap
did
was
go
there.
cannon into Blast Shield into cannon on 2 separate turns.
But the Goblin Bomb's the thing that takes it over the edge, right? Wow, both players discovering key minions for the end game. And this is what I'm on about. The first few turns of this mirror, boring.
So
this, hype.
Yeah.
So
He
it's
can
going
zap
to be
his own Mechathune again.
10 damage next turn. But he can't. Tom can't play the bot.
It had to be Ziliax though, right?
Yeah, I think it had to be.
It had to be Ziliax.
Because Tom just passes again and doesn't die.
Yeah.
Or, yeah. He can taunt now, right? Because he wins next turn. Tom's next turn wins.
Yes.
So he can taunt now.
That's right.
Because then he guarantees nothing happens. Because, again, he knows Glory can't discover something.
This was close, man.
That was a spicy meatball.
This
yeah.
was very close. And to be
Good
fair,
effort for Glory.
Props to Glory, man.
Yeah.
That was looking dismal. Literally last card, Dr. Boom, and he's still only a turn away from winning.
And bear in mind as well that he got the zap as well.
He actually got zap into zap into zap the most amount of times possible.
Insane.
That is actually insane. He was one turn away from winning.
Yeah, and let's bear in mind as well, yes, everything would have changed, but also Glory Elysiana'd quite late in the game because of his boom, which meant everything he did was last minute and he still nearly got a win with a Mechathune. Very impressive overall, but Tom ends up taking the match. And again, that's a big one. Glory at the top of his division. We'll have to check later on, but I can't remember what happens now.
They're even now.
They're even, right? Yeah, I was thinking they were. I just wasn't 100%. So they're even now on score, which means that win is just huge for that first place. And again, first place, top 4 qualify, first place gets an advantage in that, and fourth place gets a disadvantage in the top 4 playoffs that happens at the last week of Grandmasters. So if you can fight for that top place, you fight. Like you want that first spot to get effectively a free win in the group stage, which is huge.
Right up at the top there, it's like Game of Thrones. We had Tom, the undisputed king at first, and then the usurper, Glory, coming in to take his spot. And now they're both having to share the crown up at the top as rulers of Division B.
Yeah, it's crazy now how every single day, every single set of matches just dramatically changes the landscape of the groups because it's kind of huge. But our next matchup, we've got